And we are back. So if you're betting that big things are going to get done in Washington and specifically in Congress this year, you might have been wrong. The glimmer of hope from the budget deal seems like it's disappeared, with the battle lines now drawn over key issues and a new fight over the impact of Obamacare. I'm joined by Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer of New York and Republican Senator Rob Portman of Ohio. Senators, welcome back.
Good to be back.
Thanks, David. You've been listening to this debate that I've been having with the roundtable over Obamacare, and Senator Schumer, here is an ad by the conservative group Americans for Prosperity in this midterm election year that they're going to be running hard. Watch.
He told us
a system that eases up the pressure on businesses and unleashes the promise of our economy, creating hundreds of thousands of jobs.
But now we find out Obamacare will reduce full-time employment by 2.3 million jobs, hurting the economy and middle-class families.
So for Democrats who thought, Senator Schumer, that Obamacare was going to be a plus in this election year, are you on the defensive again?
I don't think so. Bottom line is very simple. What CBO said is that many American workers would have freedom. Now, that's a good word, freedom to do things that they couldn't do. The single mom who's raising 3 kids has to keep a job because of health care, can now spend some time raising those kids. That's a family value. The student, 27 years old, wants to finish school quickly so he can get a great job. Can't because he needs health care, is now free. And you know, David, when we passed the 40-hour work week 100 years ago, it reduced hours, but it certainly was regarded as a step forward. And I'd say 2 other things here. Number one, CBO used 2017 full employment as the baseline. Many people, when the folks like the single mom and the student and the small businessman who wants to now start a small business and can, when those people leave their jobs in 2015, 16, 14, 15, 16, others are going to take those jobs. And finally, in 2017, if there's full employment and there's no one to take those jobs, it'll raise wages, one of our big problems. So this is a net plus, and I'd say one final thing.
Well, all right, let me just get a response from Senator Portman here. Let's get a response. I mean, is this, I'm sure you're happy to have Democrats on the defensive here, but why shouldn't this be seen as freedom for folks who didn't have it before?
Well, look, it's not that I'm happy to see Democrats on the defensive. I'm worried about the American worker. I mean, it's unbelievable, David. We've got in our country right now a 35-year low in terms of labor participation. We don't have as many people in the workforce as we had during the recession, the middle of the recession. And yet you have Democrats almost giddy about the fact that, oh boy, now we're going to have fewer people in the workforce. That doesn't help the workers. It doesn't help in terms of fighting poverty. So look, CBO was very clear. They said this is going to result in fewer people wanting to work. What they didn't say, David, which is going to make this even worse, is, of course, for employers. Many employers are not hiring people because of Obamacare. 70% in some of the surveys of small businesses are saying that Obamacare is already harming their ability to hire people. Why? For a few reasons. One is you have these employer mandates in place saying if you have over 50 employees, you're part of this. So you have companies saying, I'm not going to get over 50 employees. Some companies even letting people go, certainly not growing employment. Second, you have people saying, I'm not going to let people work more than 30 hours because there's a new 40-hour work week, Senator Schumer, as you know, and it's a 30-hour work week. That's a problem. And then you've got higher health care costs, which is driving the costs of doing business up, and therefore fewer people are getting hired. I hear it in Ohio all the time. People are talking about, I'm going to do more with part-time. I'm going to do more with overtime.
Well,
I'm not going to hire people because of the costs embedded in every employee. And finally, you got 19 new taxes in this thing, $1 trillion in new taxes. And that wasn't even analyzed in this CBO report.
So Senator Portman,
look, there were a bunch of promises made in Obamacare, and none of them are being kept.
You talk about
and one is that it would increase jobs, and other is you could keep your health care.
All right, let's stick to this issue and to the question at hand. You brought up the American worker, Senator Portman, but you voted this week against extending unemployment benefits for those who are out of work. And it's striking. I wonder what you say to those, as has been reported in your own state, more than 50,000 Ohio residents who had unemployment benefits end in December. Those folks who are really hurting. Why did you vote against that?
Well, David, first of all, as you know, I'm one of 6 Republicans who voted to allow the debate to go forward. I think we should. Unfortunately, the Democrats did not work with us, wouldn't negotiate with us on how to pay for it. But again, let's get back to the problem at hand. I said we got a 35-year low in terms of the number of people working and the labor participation rate. We also have record numbers of people long-term unemployed. And the Democrats' answer to that is Let's add more to the 26 weeks of unemployment insurance through emergency benefits, but let's do nothing to reform the program. Let's do nothing to give people the skills they need to access the jobs that are out there. Again, record numbers of people long-term unemployed, and all Republicans were saying, including me, was, look, yes, let's extend unemployment insurance. I'm okay with that. One, let's pay for it. Last thing we want to do is add to the debt and deficit and make the economy even worse. But second, let's reform this program. And as Senator Schumer knows, I have a specific proposal to do that, as do a group of Republicans, enough to get it across the floor. We need to work with the Democrats to get that done.
Let me get a response from Senator Schumer.
Yeah, bottom line is our colleagues on the other side of the aisle are telling people what's good for them, but the people don't want it. The person who's been looking for a job for, 6 months, 8 months, doesn't want to be told they shouldn't get unemployment benefits to keep their house, to keep their car, to pay for gas, to look for a job. The single mom who would like to go home and raise her 3 kids doesn't want to be told you have to keep that job because we're not going to give you health care. That's the bottom line here.
Senator Schumer, immigration, a big focus for you, and here you have the House Speaker, after saying this was the year to do it, saying he doesn't see it happening. Is this gamesmanship on his part, or is this really over?
Well, it's been a tough week for immigration, but all three, many of the Republicans have said the following. Speaker Boehner, Mitch McConnell, Paul Ryan, even Jim DeMint, they have said they want to do immigration reform, but they don't trust the president to enforce the law, particularly the enforcement parts. So there's a simple solution. Let's enact the law this year, but simply not let it actually start till 2017, after President Obama's term is over. Now, I think the rap against him that he won't enforce the law is false. He's deported more people than any other president. But you could actually have the law start in 2017 without doing much violence to it. You'd simply move the date back from December 31st, 2011 to December 31st, 2013 as to when the deadline for people who could get either legalization or citizenship, so we could go after the new people who come in later, and it would solve the problem. And make no mistake about it, David, this view that we can get this done in 2015-16 is false. You'll have the Republican presidential primaries that pull people over to the right. Tea Party maximizes. So simple. Let's say to our Republican colleagues, you don't trust Obama? Enact the law now, but put it into effect in 2017, and we can get something real done for America. I got to get a quick response from Senator Portman.
I'm almost out of time. Senator, is Boehner at risk of losing his job if he pursues this?
No, I think John Boehner's fine in terms of his job, and I do think our immigration system is broken. What Chuck talks about delaying it, I think some Republicans would be interested in that if we put in place the enforcement measures so that it would work. In other words, be sure the border is secure, be sure that you have a workforce enforcement program that works. The concern we have, as you know, is you get back to the 1986 law, last time we did this, where we did provide legalization but didn't do the enforcement. 3 million people were legalized, another 6 million people came illegally. So I think that's what Republicans are looking for, is enforcement first.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Senators Schumer and Portman, thanks so much. And coming up here, the roundtable, we're